Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico.
Good morning.
Robert Meyer-Burnett.
I'm on the other side of town today.
Yep.
And, of course, this morning, white smoke came out of the papal residence indicating that the Toronto Maple Leafs won Game 2. Then are up 2-0 on the defending Stanley Cup champions. All hail the Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, and there's a new pope, by the way. Anyway, which I'm very happy about. I grew up Roman Catholic. Anyway, guys, it's a pleasure to have you guys here. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us on the show. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics that we've got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, well, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, topic you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about the tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to the show on our podcast feed, say either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching the show a little bit later in the day when we're not live, you can still send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started with this. It was 6 years ago that Kevin Feige announced that Mahershala Ali was going to be playing Blade. And everybody got all excited. And it's been slow going. Yeah. They lost a couple of directors. They lost a couple of set of writers. They lost some of their cast, like Delroy Lindo was going to be in this movie, and now he's not. And now, there was some whisper starting a couple of weeks ago that they may have zeroed in on their director. But then we didn't hear anything. And now, as Comic Book Movie confirms, it sounds like both Blade and X-Men are still without directors. The former isn't too surprising following the recent news that Marvel had shelved the Daywalker's next solo outing for the time being, but we've been hearing that Marvel was zeroing in on a director for X-Men a few months ago at this stage. All right, the X-Men thing, not as important. That movie is still years away, so that's not really the big issue right now. The thing about Blade, and I know we just keep coming back to this, but I think when it's all said and done, more than Iron Man 2 or Thor the Dark World or whatever Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was, I think when it's all wrapped up and Kevin Feige is stepping down, I think he'll look back as this Blade fiasco is going to be probably the biggest blemish on his record. Because, I mean, he marched Mahershala Ali out on stage as the one more thing, the big, cherry on top of the Comic-Con presentation pie, and told the world we've got this. And he recently said, Blade's still a priority for us. We're still going at it. How do you, in year 6, not just have a director at this point? Like, because nothing else really happens until you have that director to kind of guide the overall thing. And Rob, we've joked about it in the past, but I honestly have to ask now, if after we just got word last month or 2 months ago, they might have been circling a director that they might have, and now we're finding they still don't have any. Is it time for us to just acknowledge that maybe at least the iteration we've been talking about with Mahershala Ali and all that kind of stuff, is it just time for us to non-jokingly just say, this ain't ever going to happen at this point? I don't know. How do you see that?
Well, the thing about it is everybody wants a Blade movie. Blade's cool, man. I went back and rewatched Stephen Norrington's Blade, like just the opening of that movie with Tracy Lords.
The Blood Rave.
The Blood Rave. And when Blade shows up, it's a little ridiculous now because it's kind of over the top and the CG obviously is a little bit more primitive. But when like that New Order remix kicks in, it's just so cool. And Mahershala Ali, Wesley Snipes is cool. But Mahershala Ali has gravitas.
Oh, yeah. He's an Academy Award-winning actor.
Yeah, and I'm like, you gotta make it. You gotta make it. I mean, I want to see it Now, I understand they might not have been able to crack it, but how do you not crack a story? How do you not? There's plenty of Marvel comics you can go back into and look and get the story. I mean, even if it's not a Blade story, Morbius the Living Vampire. I mean, you know, you can go to the comic and not say you're going to the comic because it's owned by someone else. But I just don't understand. I don't understand. And, you know, the only thing I heard of when I interviewed Ruth Carter, who was working on Sinners, won 2 Academy Awards for
Black
Panther and Wakanda Forever, when she said she was working on the movie and it was set in the 1920s. I'm like, well, that sounded cool. Like, what? How come it didn't happen? That's what I want to know. How does it not happen in 6 years?
Now, I see some people talking in the live chat, and I get it. Like, if you were moving forward and then you realize this doesn't work, pull the plug on it. I agree with that.
Me too.
But to your point, Rob, 6 years. You're telling me you can't come up with a good story with every writer in the world at your disposal, with every resource in the world at your disposal, that in 6 years, you can't come up with at least a solid story that in the hands of a right director, and again, you've got every director in the world at your disposal, practically. You're telling me you haven't been able to come up with anything that in the hands of the right director can make something entertaining and valuable?
And then they shot Quantumania?
Yeah, and yet that guy made no problem.
I mean, I don't mean to be harsh because, you know, I do love the MCU, but give me a break. It's like these are the things that you're giving us now, and you can't give us Blade. I mean, I would have thought that in terms of genre fare, I mean, Blade is probably the most stripped down non-MCU film they could make. And you have a literally going all the way back to the 20s, a rich history of vampire cinema. You can't find somebody in Hollywood who wants to. I mean, I would think one of the attractions is you could make it for a lot less money. You know, you don't have to go to these green screen stages, and you could actually shoot things much more practically. And I don't know, man.
By the way, some people in the live chat I'm seeing are asking, well, doesn't Mahershala Ali have final say on something and he's turning things down? Nobody has final say on anything in the Marvel Cinematic Universe whose name isn't Kevin Feige. Like, no actor, no director has final say on shit other than Kevin Feige. So no, that's not true. And you know, and it became something of an object lesson, I think, for all of Hollywood. Because remember, James Gunn recently came out and said, yeah, we're not going to announce movies until we've got a completed script and we're ready to go. And I think Kevin Feige marching on Mahershala Ali, making this announcement when they didn't have a movie yet, has kind of probably been a great lesson for them over at Marvel, because I have a feeling they're not going to make that mistake ever again, and for other things as well. But I mean, Ray, I'm going to have to ask you, are we ever going to see, because I'm going to say it at this point, I don't think I officially no longer believe we were ever going to see Mahershala Ali as Blade.
Unfortunately,
maybe as a voice in an animated thing, but that doesn't really count.
There might be another chance for this to actually come together when the Blade video game comes out, like Jonathan was talking about earlier. Maybe they have like some sort of they synchronize the dates kind of close with each other. I'm not sure when that game's supposed to come out, but that hasn't gotten canceled, which I'm surprised. I thought it would. What's funny about Blade is that there's like with Daredevil, you have all that violence that's going on now in the MCU or Marvel universe, and then you have like the fantastic stuff, like the less violent stuff that's happening in theaters. Although Thunderbolts, we had that one thing that happened.
Oh, they killed a lot of people in Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
A lot of people got killed in Thunderbolts.
So
I'm not talking about Void either. I'm talking like guns. People got shot to death in the Thunderbolts.
Like Florence Pugh killed a lot of people.
Yeah, Florence Pugh had a high body count.
Like the blood and gore that like Blade usually we want to see from a Blade movie, like heads getting cut off with swords.
You'd have to go like Deadpool level.
It's possible now, right? So I story wise, and just even for me, I think crazy sometimes, and I can't even make it fit with what's going on in the MCU right now.
Yeah, and the video game is a totally separate
right,
thing.
right.
Like,
But
that won't have anything to do with anything.
It just gives me more hope that maybe they still have hope.
Unfortunately, one is not connected to the other. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, at this point, there is still no director for Blade. And Mahershala Ali, who I at first was very excited about, but I said, ooh, but is he a little old to start an MCU character? He's 6 years older now. I mean, I don't know. Do you think this thing is actually going to happen now? Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, you know, it used to be June was the start of the summer movie season, but it is now, of course, May. May, everybody knows that is the start of the movie season. And we've got a lot of movies coming out in the summer of 2025. So I thought we would take just a few minutes here to run down those films that have the biggest potential. We're not obviously going to run down all like 45 films coming out this summer, but I thought we would take a moment to run down a whole bunch of the movies that are coming out this summer. And Rob, you and I are simply going to say whether we think they have the bigger potential to be a hit or a miss, talking success-wise. So with that said, let's get things rolling here with the highest potential movies for the summer of 2025. We're going to start on May 23rd. We got Lilo and Stitch. Look, coming from Walt Disney Studios, this thing's going to be a hit. I don't think there's any possibility in the world that this comes out, that there's something wrong with this. The only thing that can derail this, if some expose comes out that Stitch was caught snorting cocaine in a children's playground. That's it. Nothing else is going to derail this.
No,
this
that would
movie's gonna
add
be
to
hit.
the box office.
And that might just add to the box office. Rob, hit or miss for Lilo and Stitch?
A hit, maybe the biggest of the summer. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, this movie looks absolutely delightful on every level, and I'm drawn to this film because the way they've portrayed Stitch, just I don't know how they figured out. I'd love to see a DVD or a Blu-ray special feature on the development of Stitch, because it has a plush quality, but it looks real. I don't know what they did. I just want to see it for that. I just want to sit and bask in the VFX of Stitch. And the kid looks delightful too.
Oh yeah, that kid's gonna be so good. So this is gonna be a hit. All right. On the same day, May 23rd, coming from Paramount Studios, we got Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. I want to say hit. I think the movie will do fine. I do. But if we're asking the question, what's more likely, that it'll be a hit or that it'll be a miss? As somebody who really liked Dead Reckoning Part 1, now just known as Dead Reckoning, it pains me to say that movie didn't do great. I mean, none of the Mission Impossible films make $1 billion. That's fine. But it did even a little bit substandard for Mission Impossible standards. And I think this one might make even less. So I think it can still do fine, but I think it's more likely that it becomes a miss than a big hit for them. I don't know, Rob, what do you think?
Well, it needs to make a lot of money. It's apparently a very expensive movie.
Expensive film.
But I got to tell you, dude, the trailers for this movie are bananas. The underwater footage that they've been releasing as promos look incredible. Tom Cruise, he just released a thing to social media where he's talking about going to Texas and just seeing the movie and showing up to theaters. He's promoting the hell out of this. It already had a rousing standing ovation in Japan. I think this movie is going to, you know what? I'll go on record. I think this is going to be the biggest grossing Mission Impossible movie.
Really?
I do. And I do not,
I hope you're right.
Not adjusted for inflation. And people go, well, you know, De Palma's movie, man. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just in terms of money, only because, well, from what the trailers are promising, I didn't like Dead Reckoning Part 1 because the story was, it was too cobbled together. I'm like, what? I was trying to follow it and going, how did these keys get out of the submarine? When you saw everybody, like, this film, I think they made course corrections. It looks, at least, the action looks bananas. It's a global romp. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be huge. Of course, I could be wrong because the movie could suck, but it doesn't look like it does.
All right, so you're leaning bigger potential for...
I think, what did Chris call it? You know, Lilo's Mission Impossible, Stitch's Final Reckoning,
the
stitching or whatever it is. I think it's going to have an Barbenheimer vibe. I think people are going to go see, look, I want to see Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's going to be, people are going to go to the theater. The Memorial Day weekend is going to be bananas.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. We now fast forward to June 6th, and coming to us from the good folks over at Lionsgate, Ballerina. I liked the idea of the movie when they first announced it. I liked it more with the first trailer. I liked it even more with the second, and I absolutely fell in love with this thing at CinemaCon when they showed us like 10 minutes of it. I think, and now remember, none of the John Wick movies make tons of money. I don't think a single one of them has made over 500 million.
But they make good money in relation to their budget.
But it make money in relation to their budget. And this is a John Wick film without John Wick, although John Wick is in more of it than you might think. I think this is actually going to be a little hit for them, understanding that it doesn't need to make $500 million to be a hit for them. I'm really excited about this film. I think it has potential to be a hit. What about you?
I think it's going to be a big hit. I mean, I don't know how big, but if again, assuming the movie's good from what we've seen, it looks awesome. You know, I can't wait to see it. Plus, who doesn't love Ana de Armas?
Oh, yeah.
And you know what?
Like, once we saw her in that James Bond movie, it's like she was made to be an action star. She was absolutely made to be an action star.
Totally. And everybody who's the team, it's going to be a rousing entertainment.
All right. We now move to June 13th with the live action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon from DreamWorks. Listen, we've seen the movie.
We've seen it.
We've seen it. We've seen it in its entirety. I had my doubts. The first 5-10 minutes of it, I almost tapped out. And by the time the end credits rolled, I was absolutely in love with this film. This movie is great. Several times I turned over to look at my wife, Anne, and she had tears coming out of her eyes. I got choked up at the end. It is such, you know, there's the animated film, which is great, but seeing something done totally differently, just in live action, it creates a different experience, and it's unique. And I had a unique experience watching this than I did watching the animated one. This movie's fantastic. I think word of mouth is going to be great and solid for it. I think this thing's got potential to be a really good hit. What about you, Rob?
Well, I'm like you. I mean, I was even longer. 10, 15, 20 minutes in, I'm like, this movie felt so pedestrian. But then this interesting phenomenon happened. And all of a sudden, like, I was in. Like, it was this, maybe because it's a movie about magic and dragons and all that. I love this movie too. I was really surprised. I'm like, wow, I got locked in this, and I didn't just get locked in, I got pulled in, and like you, I was surprisingly emotional by the end of this film.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say, this is a great franchise. The animated films are terrific. And I was like, but by the end of this film, I'm like, this is going to be a huge movie. It's going to be, I think families are going to love it. Multiple times they're going to go see it. And this is going to be one of those classics, but you know, it's like what Disney's doing. It'll be like the great live action. It'll be the Aladdin of the How to Train Your Dragon
I hope
franchise.
so. And by the way, they've already greenlit the second one. So
Yeah.
the original director came out, said we're also making the second one. So there you go.
It's charming, and I love the cast.
Yeah, and I think it's going to have very, very strong word of mouth. I don't know how big of an opening weekend it's going to have, but it's going to have really strong word of mouth. All right. We now move forward to June 20th, an offering from Sony Pictures 28 years later. Listen, I like the original 28 movies. I do. I don't really see the purpose of coming back and doing it again. But again, at CinemaCon, they changed my mind. They showed us enough stuff.
Dude.
There is no discharge from the war. And this looks, not to mention, they also showed us stuff from the sequel.
Right.
They're already shooting the sequel.
The bone.
Oh my, the Bone Temple or whatever it is.
Yeah, the bone, yeah.
And if you think you've seen Ralph Fiennes before, oh my God. But anyway, so they showed us a whole bunch of stuff from the sequel.
That
and
ad
from
line
this
on
one.
that poster is great.
Oh,
Time doesn't heal anything.
Oh, time didn't heal anything. I tell you what, with Danny Boyle and Alex Garland connected, this looks great. I still don't know how many people are actually going to go see it, though. I really don't. I know they've made me excited for it, but I think this has a bigger potential to be a miss than a hit for them financially. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to see it. You know, being the horror aficionado that I am, it looks fantastic. But you're right. I mean, this is a franchise, and are people tired of zombies? I mean, we're in the middle of The Last of Us. You know, The Walking Dead has been going on for 10,000 years. I mean, I don't know how excited people are to go back and revisit this world. But you know what I think they've done? I think this looks so much. Yeah, there are the rage virus victims, but there's a lot more, that seems to be a lot more going on here.
Yeah.
So I think it'll have societal collapse. It'll have political ramifications. I think it could get an audience, but I don't think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I still think with this one, like $100 is $100 million is like pretty good. You know?
Like in total or opening?
Yeah, because the other one was only like 60 something.
In total or opening, you can't say yeah. In which one?
Yeah,
100 million in total or 100 million in
total?
opening?
No way in opening. Opening, that'd be amazing.
But it also probably didn't cost
No,
ton.
if I'm not mistaken, I think it costs like $80 million to make.
Yeah.
So you make $330 million on this, you're good. So I just don't know. I know I'm excited for it. I just don't know if that many other people are.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. We also look at June 20th for the release of something I know Ray's excited about, Elio,
Yeah.
the new Pixar film. I haven't been totally taken with the trailers for this.
No.
And then they showed us a bunch of stuff of it at CinemaCon that while it looked charming, it still hasn't got me on board. Now, the last time I felt like that was a little movie called Coco. I didn't think that movie looked any good at all. With all the previews and all the stuff they showed us at CinemaCon, I didn't think it looked any good. And I came out of it like a total emotional mess. And I love Coco.
Me too.
But so take that with a grain of salt. I don't know that this is catching on with people. And I'm going to say this has the potential, despite the fact that Pixar's on a bit of a roll right now, I think this has the potential to be a road bump, and I think this has potential to be a miss for them. What do you think?
Pixar's like Jimmy C. You don't bet against him, you know.
Ooh.
But I too was underwhelmed by what we saw at CinemaCon, and I have to say I didn't dig the designs of whatever these extraterrestrials are. But that doesn't mean anything. Like you, Coco blew me away, and I did. It blew me away. This again, I don't bet against Pixar, so I think the potential's there. But I will say I'm dubious. I have questions. It's got to win me over.
All right. With that down, we move on to the next weekend, June 27th, Megan 2.0. Listen, Megan ended up being a far more fun film than it had any business being. And it looks like with all the stuff they showed us for Megan 2, does it look more ridiculous than the first one? Yes. But it also looks like it's even more fun.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, considering with Blumhouse, who has a habit of making movies with the money they found in their winter coat, I think this thing's going to be a hit. I really do. It doesn't need to make that much money. I think it's going to have a really solid audience for it. And I think it's going to be just as stupid as the first one, but probably even more fun. So I think this is going to be a hit. What about you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be, a gigantic. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's not going to make 700 million.
No.
Yeah.
But I think that, and from what we saw, they're leaning into it. They know what this is. It's a movie that knows what it's supposed to be, and I think it delivers, or at least it looks to deliver on that promise, which is all you can ask for. And it looked fun, and the presentation they gave was hilarious. So,
well, we might be able to call this weekend Fagin? Megaf? Because opening on the same day on June 27th, we got the new Brad Pitt film, F1. I'll tell you what. I have no idea how this is going to do. I think it's going to do well internationally.
yeah.
Because Formula One racing everywhere else in the world is huge. So I think it's, what's that?
Side note, that's Apple Studios and Warner Brothers. Just to let everyone know.
yeah,
Just-
Apple.
Oh yeah.
Apple Studios film.
$300 million budget or something.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's huge. It's a monstrously large budget.
300 million?
Something like that.
Ray, look
Yeah,
up
okay.
production budget. I have not heard that. I mean, I can't imagine where that money. Well, regardless, if it's a $300 million film, I don't think this thing makes money
Yeah, it might not be that much. I
because
might be
you're talking
exaggerating.
about needing minimums.
It says 300 million.
You're talking about needing like 600 million just to break even.
But I think I agree with you. But I think, look, from what they showed us the first 10 minutes of the movie, and
And it looks great.
my jaw was on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing where after that 10 minutes, if this movie had no plot, and I just watched car racing for 2 hours, shot the way it's shot in this movie, I think because F1 like European football is much bigger around the rest of the world than it is here.
Yes.
And I think that what they showed us was phenomenal.
I'll tell you, this is going to be my 40x.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I've never
do
done it.
40X
I was
with
going to
this
do
too.
Twisters, but I missed it. I'm doing this for 40x.
And listen, Rob is not exaggerating. They showed us straight up the first 10 minutes of the movie, and it delivers on what the trailer promised. I mean, this thing looks great, but I just don't know that it's going to be a $700 or $800 million
Yeah, I don't
movie
know.
to be a hit.
I love when a movie pulls me in right from the beginning, and that movie started off. They showed us the first 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I was already. It's not even racing is not even my thing. Like I could care less about nice cars or whatever like that. But that movie, just the way they did it, I was like, I'm in. It looks so good.
Again, it's the director of Top Gun Maverick, and it feels like Top Gun
It's
Maverick.
Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah, in racing cars, and I this movie's gonna be great, but I think it has the bigger potential to be a miss than a hit. So, we'll see. All right, we move now the calendar forward a little bit to July the 2nd for Jurassic World Rebirth. Listen, I didn't think the last movie was all that great.
No.
I don't think it was an absolute car wreck either. It had some fun in it, whatever, but it wasn't all that great. Still made $1 billion. Only now you're adding Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson. And I gotta say, the trailers have looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're leaning into the things that people really like about Jurassic movies. I just don't see how this misses. Like, it may not be $1 billion film, but people rush out to see these giant dinosaur movies. They rush out, particularly the Jurassic series, even when the movies aren't that good. These trailers have been solid. I think this thing's going to be a hit for them. What do you think?
I think it's gonna be huge and they've leaned into the horror aspects of it. So it's the trailer. That trailer they showed us that began with the scientists like in the containment room. Let me out of here. I'm like, okay, I'm in. It's just like the mutant. It's not like Isla Nublar or Isla Sorna. It's some other. This is the place where they actually designed the dinosaurs, and these are the ones they didn't put in the park. I'm like, I'm in. I mean, John,
This thing's going to make money.
kids love people getting eaten by dinosaurs and
Yep.
apes on horseback with rifles. You can't
With
go wrong.
ninjas.
And ninjas.
All right. We now move forward another week to July 11th for my most anticipated film of the year. Warner Brothers Discovery presents Superman. It's going to be a miss. It's going to be great. I feel confident. I mean, I don't know for a fact. I haven't seen it yet. James Gunn has not responded to my text messages saying, hey, show me this movie, fool. Surprisingly and shockingly, he has not responded to those messages. So I have not seen the movie, but I feel like this movie is going to be great. But again, I've been talking for a year and a half about why I don't think it's going to do exceptionally well at the box office. It's got too many hurdles to overcome from all the disaster sending the DCEU, that a lot of people were just not all that big on Superman to start with. This Superman's movie main job is not to make tons of money. It's to rehabilitate the image of DC and get people on board with DC and make people believe in DC again. I think it'll do it, but I don't think it's going to make tons of money. I hope it does. I'm going to super be excited if it does, but I just don't think it will. So I think it'll be awesome, but as far as just whether it's got potential to be a big hit or a miss, I think it's going to be a miss.
I mean, look, I want to believe. I have hope. I want to choose to believe that it's going to make $1 billion. If for no other reason that if it doesn't, the internet is going to be absolutely insufferable for the rest of my life. And I just want it to succeed in a smashing. And by the way, I really love the approach he's taken, apparently. This Silver Age super science.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
And I think that we're going to get something that is going to be at least unique that we haven't seen before. And I think that that's good. But like you, to be absolutely honest, I used to think, oh yeah, it's going to make $1 billion. But it's hard for me. We've only seen teasers and we haven't seen an actual trailer where people talk to each other.
Yeah, that usually now today, the second trailer is that trailer.
Yes.
And we haven't got it yet. I suspect we're going to get it. It's Thursday today.
Yeah.
We're going to have it by next Thursday, I think.
Yeah, I think you're
within
probably
a week.
right.
I think we're going to get the next trailer.
I think before the Memorial Day weekend going in. Yeah. And I hope it's great. I think you're right. The potential here, and it could be it could do what Man of Steel did, in the 600 millions. I don't know, but I want it. Look, I want this to succeed, but I think there's a question mark here.
Yeah. And listen, if this movie makes $700 million, I honestly think everybody over at the Warner Brothers lot needs to pop bottles and party all night and not come into work the next morning, because I think that would be a tremendous achievement for this film. But we'll see how that goes. All right. We now move forward to July 18th And from Sony Pictures comes I Know What You Did Last Summer. You know what? When they first said this, I thought this movie's going to make $20. Maybe. And that's if Freddie Prinze Jr. goes to buy a ticket and go see it. But you know what? I have been shocked in various chat forums I've been in and seen. The Originals franchise has a real following.
Yeah.
Now, this is not going to be a $600 million movie by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm starting to suspect it's going to be bigger than I first thought. And considering the budget is pretty damn reasonable, I think it's got a potential to be a hit. I really do. And remember, a hit for this is probably going to be like $300 million. I didn't think it could before, but I'm starting to be convinced that maybe it can. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, look, it's going to come off the heels of Final Destination Bloodlines, which is going to give another franchise that's been around for a long time, has a lot of love, and it looks to be, as we said before, amazing.
Which, by the way, we don't have on this list, and we probably should have included.
Well, it's like
it
next
when
week.
It's
It's
really soon.
But or is it this weekend? Is it next weekend?
No, I think it's next weekend. I think so.
I think that people are going to go see this for that very reason. It's got a big following. People are going to want to go. It's a fun thing to go see. Why not?
All right.
I hope it's great.
We now move forward on the calendar to July 25th as Marvel Studios presents Fantastic Four. Boom! There it is. It's not going to make a lot of money. By Marvel, I still don't think that by Marvel standards, I mean, by every other movie standard, it's going to make a ton of money. But by Marvel standards, I don't think it's going to make a ton of money. The Fantastic Four has always done terribly. It's always been a terrible franchise on screen. Some worse than others. And I'll be honest with you, while I believe that this movie will be good, because the director, the people involved, and Marvel clearly has a lot of belief in the film. The trailers have not moved the needle for me. I mean, I like the last trailer with Silver Surfer and Galactus.
Same old, same old.
It's a good trailer. But it didn't move the needle for me. So, and often, look, a lot of times the trailer is not really representative of how good or bad the movie is, but still, we're talking about whether it'll be a hit or miss. And I think by Marvel standards, I think we're looking at a film that it'll be lucky to hit 600 million. Maybe 7. Because again, everybody's still got a bad taste in their mouth for Fantastic Four. So we'll see, but I'm saying it's got a bigger potential to be a miss than a hit. What about you?
I think a lot of this movie, and I have no reason, I know nothing about this. I've not talked to anybody about this. I think this movie has been hiding. And what I mean by that is
you might be right.
I think there's stuff going on in this movie that they have kept under wraps, that we have seen only the same scenes over and over and over again, very, very snippets. I think they've been keeping this thing hidden. And I think I choose to believe, as somebody who wants to be optimistic about this, because I want to see the MCU restored to its luster. And I think that I think this movie has, call this a dark horse candidate for one of the great entertainments of the summer. I'd like to believe that. And I think when we finally see what's actually going on in this movie, I think people are gonna be like, oh my God. But they know what they have to overcome. They know they're in a no-win. They can't win. They're not going to win unless they really have something great and they know it's great. So they're sitting on it. And it's going to be something they're going to unleash on the public sooner. There's no reason for them to tip their hand yet. It's May.
All right. I hope you're right. You could be right.
I don't know, though.
We move forward now to the month of August. And on August 1st, the new Liam Neeson comedy, The Naked Gun, comes out. There are two things I feel fairly certain about. Number one is that this movie's going to be hilarious. The stuff they showed us, I laughed my ass off. The stuff they showed us at CinemaCon. Liam Neeson is comedic gold. He's shown over the years in these little things he does that he has such natural, instinctual comedic timing. I think it's going to be hilarious. And I also don't think it's going to make any money. I think I'm going to be in a movie theater with like 7 other people because I'm going to be there opening day. I think it looks great. But I'm not only do I not think this is the type of comedy that's going over with audiences right now, I don't hear anybody talking about it.
Right.
Like with all the questions we have come in every day on the show, I don't think we fielded one about Naked Gun. So I think this movie's going to be hilarious. I cannot wait to watch it. I just don't think it's going to make a lot of money. Rob?
I tend to agree with you. I mean, this is not a franchise that kids or young people are clamoring. Look, I know what you did last summer, but the Naked Gun franchise, the humor, the Zaz brother, the Zaz, Zucker, Abram Zucker humor is not, it's not what it used to be. So I think for me, it's a question mark, but I tend to agree with you. I don't think it's going to make a lot of money. I think it, however, is going to make me laugh my ass off.
Yeah, it looks so funny. All right. With that, we know also opening up against it on August 1st is the animated sequel, The Bad Guys Part 2. I have very little interest in this movie. I didn't like the first one all that much, although I'm in the minority. I think most people like the first one, but even though a lot of people like the first one, it never caught on a pop cultural consciousness life. You know what I mean? It's not something that people talked about. Like Zootopia. Like when Zootopia came out, I mean, people just talked about it. This little movie made $250 million in its original, which wasn't bad for what it was.
Yes.
Especially given the time that it came out. I just don't sense a lot of enthusiasm for it. So I'm going to say bigger potential for it to be a miss. What about you?
I agree. I mean, if it's good and it catches on, but the first one, I don't know. And we saw the trailer for it and it was.
Yeah, I thought, yeah.
They
even showed us some unfinished animation and it wasn't charming. It wasn't funny. So I don't know. We'll see. All right. A couple more we're going to cover here. On August 8th, Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis return in Freakier Friday. I have no intention of watching this, but you bet your ass a lot of people are.
Yep.
There's a lot of people.
Mom and daughters.
You know how I just said, like, I never saw anybody write in and ask about Naked Gun. I've seen a lot of conversation about Freakier Friday. I don't know the appeal. I don't know why it has the appeal, but it has the appeal. And while I'm not going to be in the movie theater to watch this, not because I'm against, it's a movie with girls. No. That can be great. But I think the trailer looks horrible. I didn't think it looked funny. So I'm not interested in this. So I'm not going to be in the theater, but that's okay because it doesn't sound like there's going to be a lot of seats for me anyway. Because I think, look, it's not going to be $1 billion film, but this movie's going to make money. So I don't know. Do you see it that way?
I think it's going to make money. But you know what? Even the trailer that we saw, it didn't. Like, I like Lindsay Lohan back in the day, and she looks like, I love the fact that she's come back and she's doing this, and she looks like she hasn't lost any of her comic timing or her acting ability. But it just didn't look that great to me.
No, it didn't. So, yeah.
Because I'm an old man, and I don't know.
All right. The last one we're going to cover, also opening on August 8th.
It's like the wagon coming off the wheels sometimes when Rob speaks. It's like clunk, 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 clunk.
Also, from the director of Barbarian, Weapons. This is another one for me that's going to be kind of like Naked Gun in the sense that I think this looks great. Not hilarious like Naked Gun. Not a lot of laughs in the trailer and in the preview they showed us for Weapons at CinemaCon. But I was instantly hooked. This movie looks fantastic. I just can't wait. The premise of it is amazing. It's just creepy from the very notion of it. The performances look great. The tone of it is heavy. And I just think this movie is going to be remarkable. I don't know that a lot of other people will be. I think it'll catch the horror crowd, but I don't think all of them. So I'm going to say it's got less potential to be a hit, but I think it's going to be fantastic. And I can't wait to watch this one. What about you?
Well, okay, look. I will say, not only do I think this movie, here's this thing about it's tough to say because it's horror.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's got kind of a wide open field. I think not only is this movie going to be great, I think in 10 years it's going to be looked back upon as a horror classic.
Ooh.
It's going to be considered one of the great. I'm calling it, for reasons of my own, the Pulp Fiction of horror. Now,
That's a lot to say without having seen
I'm going to
it yet.
keep that to myself, But I'm just going to say that that's what I believe it's going to be. And, you know, Zach Kreger, who made Barbarian, he's the real deal.
Yeah,
And
he
he's,
really
you know,
is.
he's got a couple of other things in the offing soon, including a science fiction movie I desperately hope he makes, because it's fucking bananas. But I think this movie is going to be a sleeper hit. And I
hope
think
you're right.
I think it's going to have the same kind of word of mouth that's going to have crossover appeal when people start hearing, oh my God, you have to go see this movie. I think that's what's going to happen.
And that's all the movies that really. Now, obviously, there's like 45 movies coming out this summer. We just picked, like, we didn't cover Smurfs because I don't give a shit about Smurfs. We also didn't talk about Nobody 2, which I am very excited for Nobody 2. But not many people saw the first one. I don't think many people are going to see the second one, even though I think it's going to be great. But those are 16 films coming out. What do you guys think? Which ones of these do you think have the biggest potentials to be hits, the biggest potential to be misses? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's we haven't done it this week. We're going to take a little moment here and play a little game of what's more likely. Every once in a while, I jump into the community tab there on the YouTube channel. I ask our viewers, you got a what's more likely scenario. Go ahead and fire it on in. We'll pick out 4 or 5, and I believe we picked out 5. I think that's right, Jonathan.
Yeah, 5.
Jonathan picked out 5. So let's go over your scenarios here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got?
First up from Heat says, Rob, what's more likely? Avengers Doomsday makes more than Avatar Fire and Ash, or vice versa?
Avengers Doomsday is not going to make as much as Avatar Fire and Ash because, you know, you've got Mordor Na'vi who have forsaken Iowa. And they fly and they attack the good Na'vi. I can't wait to see this movie. You got the Crack of Doom. You got Fire and Ash. See, it'll be like that James, what's his name? I've seen fire and I've seen rain.
Oh,
They got to do a riff on that.
I thought you were talking about the Ed Sheeran music from The Hobbit. I
Oh.
see fire. All right, look.
I've seen trees.
I think it's just closer than we think. Because this is an Avengers movie, right? The last couple of Avengers movies, I mean, blew the box office out of the water.
Yep.
Avatar 2 is one of the highest grossing films of all time, but it made less than Avatar 1. So I think it's closer than we think. But I'm going to say it's more likely that Avatar Fire and Ash makes more.
Oh, no doubt it's
Now-
going to be close.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close, though. Now, if you were asking the question, do I think Avatar Fire and Ash or Avengers Secret Wars was going to make more money, I would answer differently. But between these things, I think it is, I'll go with Rob on this. I think it is more likely that Avatar Fire and Ash makes more money.
Yeah.
Wait till you guys see freaking influencer Navi.
Influencer Navi.
Heat follows up and says, John, what's more likely? Jonathan Majors makes a comeback in his future Ezra Miller.
Ooh, you know what? I think it is more likely that Jonathan Majors makes a full comeback. Number one, we just had a movie with him with Magazine Dreams that nobody saw, but everybody who did, Jonathan Majors is brilliant. And I think the main thing that the main reason I'll lean on, and I have several reasons for thinking Jonathan Majors makes a full comeback more than Ezra Miller, but the main reason I think for me is simply this. While Ezra Miller, take nothing away from Ezra, very good actor, never thought otherwise, Jonathan Majors is better. Jonathan Majors is a world-class actor.
Yeah.
When Jonathan Majors is firing on all cylinders, there's not an actor's room in Hollywood he can't be a part of. He is phenomenal. And I think he has the better chance. I think it's more likely that he makes a full comeback than Ezra Miller does. Rob, what about you?
I agree with you. I mean, look at his entrance when we meet him in Creed 3. He just has that charisma. He's that charismatic guy that you can't take your eyes off him. And his physicality, I mean, the guy's perfection chiseled from the gods. I mean, he's just such a great... I'd like to see him come back, but, you know, who knows?
All right, what's next?
All right. Jack Turner, filmmaker, says, Rob, what's more likely? Superman earning more money or Supergirl?
Let me stop and think about this. Superman will make more money.
That's it?
That's it.
All right.
I mean, look, I say that because, you know, and this is no slight to Supergirl. And maybe but even so, Superman is like the heavyweight, where Supergirl's the middleweight. And I think that people want to go see. The thing about Superman is you've got Perry White, you've got Jimmy Olsen, you've got Lois Lane, you've got Lex Luthor, and you've got this whole stable of Americana that goes back all the way to the 30s. And I like Kara Zor-El, I do, but she's not Superman, although she does have Lobo.
Yeah, I'm going to say it is more likely that Supergirl makes more money. And I'll tell you why.
Oh,
I think I'm in agreement with it.
Because of Superman. Supergirl will make more money because of Superman.
maybe.
Superman is going to come out, I believe, I could be wrong. It's going to come out and it's going to be awesome and it's going to change people's minds about DC. It's going to make people believe in this DC brand. And having seen Superman and been excited about it, I think now we got Jason Momoa as Lobo and you got Supergirl. That's the next movie out. I think it makes even more money, not because of its own merits, although I do believe it'll have its own merits, but I believe because of Superman, it's going to make more money.
And you know, Supergirl is supposed to appear in Superman.
Yes, she is going to make an appearance.
And if
That's
it's
right.
kind of a Black Panther situation where you had Black Panther in Civil War and then his own movie is propelled to over $1 billion, maybe.
All right, what's next?
We got Really Wish. John, what's more likely? Thunderbolts crosses 500 million at the box office or Fantastic Four?
Well, while it's possible they could both do that, I'm going to go back to the logic of the last one. I think it is more likely that Fantastic Four crosses the $500 million mark because of Thunderbolts.
Right.
Listen, Thunderbolts was a movie they really needed right now. I mean, listen, Deadpool and Wolverine, Marvel desperately needed that movie to work. And it did, and highest grossing R-rated film of all time, mega successful, all that kind of stuff. But now people are in the show me what you got phase with Marvel, right? And they came out with Thunderbolts, and Thunderbolts was fantastic. And I think because that gives Marvel more momentum. So I think there's a couple of reasons. Obviously, Fantastic Four is the more popular name. You got Pedro Pascal in there. But I think the work that Thunderbolts just did is going to do nothing but benefit for Fantastic Four. So I'd say it's more likely that that one crosses the mark. Rob, what about you?
I think you're absolutely right. Thunderbolts is still doing all right. I mean, it's making like $7 million a day. So we'll see how.
Did you say it's making $700 million a day?
$7 million. $7 million.
I thought you said $700 million a day.
No, $7 million.
That's all right.
A day.
That's not bad.
In midweek, which is pretty good. It'll be interesting to see how much it does this weekend. If it gets a bump, if it pulls the Sinners and gets almost not much of a drop. We'll see.
Yeah, it ain't gonna take a Sinners drop. I mean that was
almost unprecedented. But I mean, along those lines,
Yeah.
it does well. It's second weekend because of word of mouth. But yeah, I think Fantastic Four, if it's good, that's the whole thing. Right now, John, I believe that they're hiding stuff from us because they've only showed us the same stuff over and over again that has been relatively underwhelming because I think they don't want to give away all the
Yeah, you
goodness.
were mentioning that. Yeah.
So,
all right, what's next?
Final one. Enom slashes John. Wait.
Yeah.
John, what's more likely? Leo and Stitch to make $1 billion at the box office? Oh, this is easier. Mission Impossible. Final
Well, I mean,
reckoning.
it's a good question because they're going head to head. They're literally opening on
Yeah.
the same day. And out of any weekend this year, that's the weekend that is most Barbenheimer potential like. Two very different movies going for two different audiences, and they're high profile, and can they succeed? But there is no doubt what the answer to this question is. Like, I think Mission Impossible can do well. And that's all Mission Impossible wants. But Lilo and Stitch is going to kick the shit out of it. I mean, Lilo and Stitch is by far, we're not going to get a true Barbenheimer thing here. I don't think Mission Impossible gets anywhere near $1 billion. I think it can do well, but I don't think it's going to get anywhere near $1 billion. Whereas Lilo and Stitch, $1 billion is absolutely on the radar.
yes.
I mean, it's not automatic, but I'm not going to be shocked at all if I looked forward. If I looked into a crystal ball, looked 3 months into the future, Lilo and Stitch is in the $1 billion club. Not surprised at all. So I think it's absolutely far more likely that Lilo and Stitch joins that $1 billion club.
Although
than
that
Mission Impossible.
would be fitting, I'm thinking, because, the last actual Barbenheimer event that happened kind of snuffed out the last Mission Impossible. So maybe it'll be some kind of nice reckoning.
Yeah.
A final reckoning.
A final reckoning, if you will.
Yeah.
Rob, what do you think?
Look, I think Lilo and Stitch is going to gross $1 billion. I mean, if anything, if I had to bet money on any of the movies coming out this summer, it would be Lilo and Stitch as number one to gross $1 billion. Maybe How to Train Your Dragon behind it, but for that, yes. I mean, everything we've seen from Lilo and Stitch, and people are going to go back. I can only imagine. I'm glad I don't have kids that are like 8 or younger, because all they're going to do every day is ask to go see Lilo and Stitch again.
Hell, I might be asking to go see Lilo and Stitch again every day. I think it looks amazing.
I know. I really
Dad,
think
can we
that
go see
you
it
and Ann
again?
are going to be like Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah,
All right.
let's go.
I want to like to see it again.
All right, guys, that will wrap up this little installment of What's More Likely. Thank you to all you guys who sent in those scenarios. Remember, guys, keep your guys' eyes open on our YouTube channel, because, we drop a request for scenarios for you guys to send in. They're only up for about 10 minutes, and then we take them down because so many of you guys send them in. But thank you to everybody for sending those in, and we'll do it again next week. All right. Guys, we still have a number of things to talk about here, including new Lord of the Rings live action film has now been dated. We got a release date for The Hunt for Gollum. Also, Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, it may never see streaming or a Blu-ray disc near you. We're going to talk about that. And it has come out this morning, being reported in the major trades, that Warner Brothers is looking at splitting the company in two. Why? What will that look like? We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Hungryroot. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Hungryroot. Okay, so I'm sure you guys can all relate to this. Spring hits and suddenly life goes from like 0 to 100. Busy season is officially in full swing over here. And honestly, who's got time to go grocery shopping? That's where Hungryroot comes in. See, because Hungryroot is like having your own personal shopper. I told them my goals and they started curating groceries for me that actually fit my life. Be it smoothies, snacks, salad kits, even ready to eat meals. All clean ingredients, no artificial junk. This week, I got the grilled turkey tenderloin with pesto grilled veggies, and it was amazing. And I got my usual protein-packed snacks. It's like they're learning my taste better than I even know myself. And the best part is, I don't have to waste time driving to the grocery store and wandering the aisles. That's time I can spend doing literally absolutely anything else. Guys, I love Hungryroot. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Campea and use the code Campea. That's hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea. And thank you to our friends at Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Never knew if we'd get one, but there is a new live action Lord of the Rings film on the way, from the people actually behind the original Lord of the Rings films. Andy Serkis, who of course is a great director in and of his own right, who played Gollum, is going to be directing the new Lord of the Rings film, The Hunt for Gollum, and we now have a release date. According to Variety, December of 2027. So honestly, a lot further off than I thought it would be, but not a big surprise. The Lord of the Rings films generally tend to come out around the December time, and maybe they wouldn't be able to have it ready for December 2026. And we're going to get that. They wrote the following: Gollum will officially return to the big screen for Christmas of 2027. Warner Brothers has announced that Andy Serkis's The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, will open in theaters December 17th, 2027. The studio's also dated the next Evil Dead, blah, 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 blah. Now, the key thing that a lot of people are going to be interested in is down here, where the original Lord of the Rings trilogy filmmaker Peter Jackson and his partners, Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, are producing the new movie. And Warner Brothers has stressed when announcing Gollum that the trio will be involved in every step of the way. So, you've got Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, Andy Serkis, who was a second unit director for some of the stuff on The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. They're all behind this new one. Now, Peter Jackson himself is not directing. That's okay. So, listen, it's difficult for me to get tremendously excited about Lord of the Rings stuff when, despite the fact that the trilogy is one of my favorite sets of films of all time, Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, particularly season 1, was a big letdown for me. I thought season 2 was a big improvement, but season 1 was a particular big letdown. I wasn't a big fan of War of the Rohirrim.
No,
I liked it, didn't love it.
Yeah, I didn't think it was bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't like, it's not like, oh, I hate myself for watching this, but it didn't move the needle for me, especially after coming out of the anime festivals, people like raving about it. And then I saw it, I'm like, it's all right. Now, it is encouraging and exciting to hear that like Jackson, Walsh, they're going to be involved in every step of the way, that Andy Serkis himself is directing it. That's all positive stuff. The fact that they believe in it enough that they are giving it that Christmas window, because that's hotly contested for. Like all films at studios want that studio window, want that Christmas window. They're giving it to this. So that's good. So Rob, I think my approach to the Hunt for Gollum right now is going to be cautious optimism. It's still a long ways off. I mean, it's nearly 2 full years away, not quite 2 full years, but a year and a half, year and 3/4 away. So yeah, for me, it's going to be cautious optimism. You hear about this, it's getting that December 17th release date. Where's your thinking right now on this? What's giving you hope? What's not giving you hope?
look, I mean, you've got the architects of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies involved. You know, Peter, Fran, and Philippa I think they're probably writing the script too, I would imagine. At least Philippa and Fran are. And then Andy's directing and playing Gollum. So I think, you know, in a way, maybe this will be more intimate, character-driven film. I don't know. I mean, obviously, the Hunt for Gollum we'll see how they flesh it out, because, again, they're going to have to flesh it out. But I think for this, they can keep it concise. And I think I'm actually kind of excited for this, because I think what they are going to do for it is going to be pretty interesting. You know, we're going to expand it into 2 movies. I hope they don't do that, but you never know. I mean, I think they're going to keep this.
I think Peter Jackson's learned his lesson.
I think they're going to keep this tight, they're going to make this a rousing entertainment. And they've kind of got it all in the family. And I really I can't wait to see what technological advancements, what they're going to do with Gollum.
Yeah, with Weta behind it.
Oh my God. I mean, we saw Gollum 25 years ago almost. And by the time this comes out, it'll be over 25 years since we first saw Gollum, or it'll be 25 years because it was 2002. So I can't wait to see what they do. And I'm actually excited for this. If you're going to make a Lord of the Rings movie, you could not have a better group of people involved to make it.
Now, here's a question. Do you think they will try, like in the Hobbit movies, they kind of stretched out and started bringing in characters from the original trilogy, like Legolas was in there and stuff like that. I didn't mind Legolas in the Hobbit films, to be honest with you. But do you think they're going to try to bring in other traditional characters? Do you think somehow they're going to try to have Strider in there? Do you think they're going to bring in Legolas?
100%. They're going to have Gandalf and Strider. I think they kind of have to.
Do they recast?
No.
You don't think they recast?
No, if anything, they'll do a little de-aging. I mean, Ian McKellen, they can get away with it.
But
because they put beard on
yeah,
him. He's fine.
That's easy enough.
And he's Gandalf the Gray then anyway. He's not Gandalf the White, so you can dirty him up as much as you want. So yeah, I think they will. I think they will, to keep that continuity. And again, you make Aragorn, dirty him up. Viggo Mortensen, makeup and all that.
Because how old, Ray, can you look up for me? How old is Viggo Mortensen now? I think
he's in his 60s.
I think he's 63.
Yeah.
I could be wrong
66.
about it. He's 66.
Wow.
Man.
So I think is he not now the same age that
He's
Ian
gotta
McKellen
be.
was when Ian McKellen played Gandalf?
He's got to be.
I think he is.
Wow. Oh my God. You want to feel old today? Yeah.
Dude,
Yes,
he was in the
Strider's
first movie.
the same age as Gandalf was.
He was in the first movie I ever worked on when I was a PA in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Oh, wow.
Really? When Viggo was in that?
Viggo Mortensen's in it.
I didn't remember that
Yeah.
at all.
You know that vision where she sees him and he's an old man and he's dead? It's
Oh,
basically
yeah.
what he'll look like now.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the latter days of his life,
I mean, I could even see like Elrond coming back.
Yeah.
They could do
Yeah.
a lot. They could bring Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale as the
You
vampire
can
hunter.
see where my mind is at. No, Kate Blanchett
Please, no.
coming back
Yeah,
as
you could
playing
easily bring back.
Totally.
Yep.
Galadriel. Why not?
All right, guys. Question is for you. We now have a release date for the new live action Lord of the Rings film from the minds of Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh and being directed by Andy Serkis. Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum. You excited about it? Has the recent stuff maybe tempered your excitement? I don't know. What things do you think is positive? What things do you think are negative? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down, let's move on to this. One of the biggest flops, there's no getting around, one of the biggest flops of all time, not the biggest flop of all time, but one of the biggest flops of all time was the immortal Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, which I think was made for $120 million, and I think it made 15.
Yeah.
But
he paid for it himself.
And it was not good. It was not good. I knew it didn't look good, so I didn't see it right away. I eventually got around to saying, I'm like, yeah, this isn't very good. It's a bit of a mess. That doesn't take away for how great Francis Ford Coppola is, but not everybody makes gold every single time out. Well, you might have noticed if you're interested in watching it on home video, you haven't really had the chance to. It's not on any streaming service, and you can't go to your local Best Buy or Target. Not that you're going to be able to go there much longer to buy anything physical media, but you can't find it there either. Well, now we know why, because apparently, according to reports, this is coming to us from Joe Blow, Francis Ford Coppola doesn't want it to be on home video. He doesn't want people to be able to watch it at home. It says this. There was a time when Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis was the most anticipated movie there was. I don't know if it was ever the most anticipated movie, and we all kind of knew that it would be a work of genius or a complete dud. That's just kind of how Coppola operates. Unfortunately for Coppola, who sunk well over $100 million of his own cash into it, got to respect that, putting his own money behind it. I respect that. Megalopolis came and went. Nobody can find it. Just to give you an idea how much Megalopolis bombed, the movie had a budget of at least $120 million. Again, we're talking about Coppola's own winery money, and grossed less than 15, hitting theaters in September 2024 and departing the following month. One would expect Lionsgate to have at least dumped it onto streaming by this point, but it's nowhere to be found. And this seems to come down to Coppola himself. As reported by The Hollywood Reporter, Francis Ford Coppola is apparently disinterested in ever having Megalopolis be seen on a TV, computer, or iPhone. As it stated, instead of digital release, Coppola is taking the film on tour. Days after the AFI tribute, he boarded a flight to Boston for a sold-out screening at the Coolidge Theater. Later this month, he's headed to Detroit, and he's got others lined up as well. But they quoted him as basically saying, he doesn't want people to watch this on a television. He said, this movie is meant to be seen on the big screen. And while this is not going to be any kind of a hit on home video at all, it makes something. I mean, and when you have the kind of losses that this movie took, you'd think you'd want to get something out of it. But Francis Ford Coppola has always said it's not about the money for him. And he's got certain principles that he's sticking with, and you got to respect that. But Rob, you know, I think I've heard that there are international territories where they actually got some Blu-ray releases out before he put the axe to it.
Yeah.
But what do you think of this? That, granted, the movie was a flop, but that there's Francis Ford Coppola does not want there to be a home viewing, either physical media or streaming, for Megalopolis. What do you think?
I mean, I can see that. I like the idea that he's going on sort of a bus and truck tour of American cities, and he's going to show this film and take Q&A for it, because obviously it was a deeply personal thing for him. He made it he wanted to make this for a long period of time. He made it the way he wanted to make it. And while it might be Francis's folly, maybe that's how it'll go down in history. I love the fact that he's not backing down, you know, and the fact that he's making appearances and selling out theaters, you know, maybe that's where it belongs. And since he paid for it, it's his. You know, I hope, though, that he takes into consideration that when he shuffles off this mortal coil, that he does make it so people can see it, you know, when he's no longer with us, God forbid. I mean, I think that it's an important piece of work, whether you like it or not, or whether it's terrible or not. I think it's an interesting, it has something interesting to say about an artist and how an artist put his own money behind it. And I think it stands as a testament to, well, something. And in terms of what he's done, he's never really backed down. He's made crazy movies like One from the Heart, you know, which he put all his money in. Apocalypse Now was Francis's folly, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But man, his career stands as a testament to what the resilience of an artist can be, especially who can be really an artist in Hollywood when so much money's involved making movies. We're never going to see the likes of this again. spending 120 million of your own money on your own.
I mean, also like last year and in the last couple of years, Kevin Costner kind of did the same thing.
Yeah.
Put up all of his own, a lot of his own money to try to get the Horizon. What was it called?
Yeah, Horizon, and
Yeah.
the multi-chapter
the American
version.
Western thing, and that didn't do so well for him. My main concern about this is not so much that today we can't watch it, and it's gonna miss the opportunity to recoup a little bit of its losses.
Yeah.
That's not the big thing to me. The big thing to me is it's still film history.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I hope
And it's like, can you imagine today if we could not watch The Godfather? If there was like, hey, unless you were around when it came out in theaters, you'll never see it.
yeah.
And so I think you're right. I think hopefully at some point, Francis Ford Coppola and cooler heads prevail, and they say, hey, now it's available, because at least it should be available for people to watch. Because just because I didn't like it doesn't mean other people won't like it when they see it. So there's that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Francis Ford Coppola doesn't want his film to be seen on an iPhone or on a television screen. He wants you only to see it on a movie screen.
Yeah.
That doesn't help you as far as legacy goes, but I don't know. Do you like the idea? He's sticking to his principles. Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? It is not an exaggeration to say Warner Brothers is one of the most preeminent and most important film studios in the history of the business. Absolutely is. It's gone through a lot of changes over the years, including like a very failed ownership of AT&T, the big move over with Discovery. Now it's Warner Brothers Discovery. Well, now, according to reports coming out, Warner Brothers Discovery is moving towards splitting the company. CNBC and now others are reporting that Warner Brothers is positioning itself to split the company in two. They write the following. Warner Brothers Discovery, WBD.O, is moving towards a potential breakup, CNBC reported on Thursday, as media companies explore options for their struggling cable TV business and sharpen focus on their faster-growing streaming and studios division. WBD laid the groundwork for a possible sale or spinoff of its declining cable TV assets. And let's face it, everybody's cable TV assets are declining. In December by announcing a separation from its streaming and studio operations. It reported results under the new structure for the first time on Tuesday. Splitting would align Warner Brothers Discovery with Comcast, which is also spinning off the fading NBC Universal cable TV networks, including MSNBC, CNBC, to position itself for growth in the streaming area. Okay, so what does this basically look like? When it comes down to it, what would Warner Brothers splitting itself into two companies ultimately look like? And it would basically be this. On the one side, let's bring this up. On the one side, you would have the studios and their major streaming assets. So one company would be Warner Brothers, HBO, Max, would all kind of be under one thing. This is the stuff that's working for Warner Brothers right now. Their streaming numbers have gone up. They've announced the first round of being profitable, all that kind of stuff. And HBO is still the gold standard of quality on television. In the new company, that would apparently still be owned by the same shareholders, but it would be a completely independent company. They would form a new board of directors, all that kind of stuff. Can be sold to somebody else, all that kind of stuff.
Different earnings.
Yep, separate earnings, all that kind of jobby stuff. You would have things like the Food Network, HGTV, TNT, Discovery, TLC, TBS, and all of their basic cable television stuff. And it's not cable, it's HBO. That's why HBO is over there under Warner Brothers and Max. Now, the general feeling out there from, like I was talking to a friend of mine earlier this morning, saying like there are other big studios like Comcast is looking at spinning off Universal and its main studio stuff and its streaming things from all of its television assets. There's some talk that these remnants television assets from all these different companies may merge into one company. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe once Warner Brothers spins off as its own company, they may look to partner with something like a Disney or something like, I don't know, another major streaming company, or just continue operating on its own thing. But it looks like they see the way forward to be more profitable is to split these things in two and create two different divisions. You know, One of the things that I really liked when Warner Brothers got acquired by Discovery is I liked the idea of Max having all the HBO stuff. And I admit it, I'm a fan of Food Network and HGTV and stuff like that. I am. I liked all of that being under one roof. But that didn't work,
No.
right? People don't look at HBO Max as that sort of, they look at it as premium television. And it didn't work. I was looking forward to it, but it didn't work. And now in response, you're just seeing that the better way forward is to spin them off into their own thing and leave the studio and HBO and Max as its own thing as well. That seems to work. Rob, this seems to be the way most of the companies, Disney is starting to divest itself of its cable network assets. Comcast Universal is starting to divest itself of its cable assets. Fox is starting to divest itself of its cable network. I mean, that seems to be the new move. And so at this point, right move, wrong move, interesting move for Warner Brothers. What do you think?
Well, I think it's probably the right move. I mean, look, we are in the middle, as we have been for, I guess, decades now, in terms of changing the entire landscape. I mean, broadcast television it's just changing. I mean, it's all going to the internet. I don't know, hopefully that humanity will keep moving forward in a productive way. Maybe having broadcast, when the apocalypse comes, being able to still broadcast to people, if you can, that might be something you want to have. But in terms of the way entertainment has gone, I mean, it's clear the direction everything is headed. I do think, though, what's interesting is if you think about like home improvement shows, they have this gigantic back catalog. Those are evergreen. People are always going to want to, do self-help or learn how to do self-improvement, or I mean, not people doing self, but you want to help your house, you want to do projects. I mean, all that stuff is valuable because it doesn't date. People will be able to look at that stuff forever. So those are valuable assets that I think are people are going to watch them. So I don't know what happens to those, but and I don't know. Do you start a new streaming service? I don't know how that would all look. I don't know, but I think what they're doing is very smart, and again, they're pivoting with the time.
Yeah. By the way, I've seen some people in the live chat asking, wait, so who's picking up these assets? Again, here's the way. Let's bring this up again. The way this will work is that all the stuff on the left side, Food Network, HGTV, Discovery, and others, this will become a brand new company. So now the shareholders, from the way they're describing it in the reports, the shareholders of Warner Brothers Discovery will still be the owners, but it will be a completely new entity. So if you're a shareholder, you will be a shareholder in both Warner Brothers and this new entity. They will then create a new board of directors, and then as their own company, they can continue to operate. They can sell off individual pieces. They can get acquired by somebody else. They can merge with somebody else. It will become its own company. For now, let's just call it Company X. So you'll have Warner Brothers and you'll have Company X. And then Company X can do whatever it wants. It can continue to operate all of its cable network stuff. Again, cable network stuff is in decline across the board with every company. They can continue to operate. They can seek mergers. They can seek acquisitions. They can buy somebody else if they want, but they will function as a completely independent company apart from Warner Brothers. So, and listen, the key to anything is focus on your strengths, try to eliminate your weaknesses. For Warner Brothers Discovery right now, the studio, which by the way, Warner Brothers Studio is making things like Ted Lasso. They're making Shrinking. They make Netflix's show You. They make a lot of great stuff out there as well. So you focus on your studio, you focus on your crown jewel HBO, and you focus on your now profitable streaming asset in Max. You put all of your energy and attention there and let the other parts go. And we'll see if this works. I think it will. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Warner Brothers Discovery is splitting into two companies. You're going to get all the cable assets forming its own company, and you're going to get the studio and its prime streaming content on the other side in its own company, completely independent of each other. Do you think that's the right move for them? I think it is. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid adieu to the writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett. Thanks for being here, sir.
Always a pleasure. Great
we'll talk
show
to you
today.
Tomorrow.
Thank
you. We will now move on to taking your comments and questions. But before that, we're going to take another quick second and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Stitch Fix. We want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Stitch Fix. Guys, you know I love movies, but you also know I have absolutely no fashion sense, and I absolutely hate shopping for my clothes. But thankfully, I have found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. With Stitch Fix, I get a stylist who understands my style, size, and budget, and they do all the shopping for me. Because look, shopping and figuring out style can be overwhelming, especially for somebody like me. When it comes to getting dressed, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. That's why I love having a Stitch Fix stylist. They really know what works for me. I get pieces that make me look great, and it's a real confidence boost. You just give your stylist your size, style, and budget preferences. You get to order boxes when you want and how you want, no subscription required. They send you personalized pieces, and the fit is always on point. No stores, no crowds, no stress. Just personalized looks that you will love. So guys, make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Campea. That's stitchfix.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Stitch Fix for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Touch Me says, I can't believe I have lived to see the day John said the way Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. handled its connection in the MCU was the right way. I remember that was your biggest complaint. Will that this realization change your perspective if you're forced to watch it? That
no, the
sounds
show
like,
sucks ass.
Yeah,
the show is
torture.
absolutely horrible. And listen, I mean that it handled it the right way in the sense that while I found it pathetic whenever I tried to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and believe me, I was super excited for the show because I love Clark Gregg. Love Clark Gregg and Ming-Na Wen, and I love all of them. But the way it desperately, like, constantly name dropped, make sure you say hi to Tony Stark for me. Ooh, guys, they said Tony Stark. Like, I thought it was pathetic, but you know, it was the right way to handle in the sense that the television show tried to show that it was in the cinematic universe, but the cinematic universe never acknowledged the show. And that was the right way for them to do it. I tapped out of the show, and then everybody convinced me to go back and finish watching it. And I did go back and finish watching it, and it had its high points. It did. I thought was it its 100th episode? I can't remember if it had a 100th episode or not, but if it did, I think it was the 100th episode. I thought it was a really good episode, to be honest with you, but mostly that show sucked ass. And I say that as somebody who was cheering for it and who loves Clark Gregg. Him and Ming-Na Wen were the saving graces of it, but yeah, I'm never going to go back and watch that waste of a show again. All right, what's next?
Raymond says, during the Met Gala, Nicole Kidman debuted her new pixie cut hairstyle. Will AMC shoot a new version of this being shown during the previews? No, it costs too much money.
Like, why would you do that? No. Just because the actress changed her hairdo doesn't mean you go back and reshoot everything.
Yeah, she's still gonna walk into an empty theater because she doesn't like watching movies with other people.
She'll still walk into empty theaters.
Seems
All
nice
right,
to
what's
me.
next?
EG says, hey, John and crew, a question for Ray. Did Sentry live up to your expectations? Do you wish anything about him was different? Personally, I love the movie. It reminded me of the indie game Celeste.
We didn't see much of the Sentry, to be honest, for me to even go into it. But I do like that he's not a junkie. That he's not necessarily a junkie. He's got other problems.
He had that past though. But,
well, yeah, he did. He says, I was on meth. I mean, so he was a junkie.
I mean, but
I guess he was a recovering,
but not
junkie.
a current.
recovering junkie.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Alfie, hey crew, after watching the last episode of Andor, I had to rewatch Rogue One. I never realized before that Andor and Jin run into the two guys from the bar in New Hope. Too funny. But also, there's 3 more episodes of Andor, just so you know.
Yeah, so I'm holding off on going back to watch Rogue One again until I watch the final episodes of Andor. Again, this week, the chapter they dropped of episodes 7, 8, and 9 are the best 2.5 hours of Star Wars we've seen since the original trilogy. It was peak Star Wars. It was the greatest Star Wars that we've had since the end credits of Return of the Jedi, which is still the best Star Wars movie, by the way. But you get that original trilogy of movies. That's it. It's totally separate. But Andor has just eclipsed everything else. I mean, I already thought Andor season 1 was in that category anyway, but that 2.5 hours was simply the best 2.5 hours Star Wars we've seen in 30 years. It was so unbelievable. All right, what's next?
Dildar says Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is the game of the year so far. The story is incredible with an amazing cast with Charlie Cox as the lead Shadowheart playing a role and Andy Serkis as the villain. Give it a shit if you haven't yet.
Probably means give it a shot.
Yeah.
Is that the one that somebody brought up the other day?
Yesterday. Yep.
What was it called again? The
Claire
33?
Obscure, Expedition 33.
So is it, oh, you said it's a turn-based game.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite kind of games, actually, turn-based games. I do like those a lot. So I can't stand first-person shooters on console. But I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna load up my PlayStation. I'm gonna see if I can find it, and I'm gonna get it today. All right,
There you
what's
go.
next?
They formed a team, says Louis Pullman being an actor's son and Kurt Russell's son plays John Walker too. He added a lot of heart to the film too. Wrote in yesterday about it being my top 5. I'm putting it in my top 3. It keeps growing on me. I love Thunderbolt so much.
Yeah, listen, I love the movie too. I can't put it in my top 5, my top 5 Marvel films, but I love it. I think it's a wonderful movie. What they were able to accomplish with a bunch of B and C list characters from like basically the rejects from other Marvel films put into this was an incredible accomplishment. Just an incredible accomplishment. And again, I can't put in the top 5, but I think it's great. And I think it bodes very well for Fantastic Four. All right, what's next?
Yasmar says one thing I don't hear being mentioned in Andor is the costuming. I have zero interest in fashion. I'm still awestruck seeing the clothes they put Mothma and the Coruscant people in.
Yeah.
Looks like something you'd see at the Met Gala if they had taste.
You know what? You are 100% right. With everything else being so good. For instance, Jonathan, you brought up yesterday that we've failed to mention the music in it. The music's remarkable. But you're right. The costuming in this show, just Mon Mothma alone, the costuming in this show is ridiculous. Even when you look at Director Krennic in his formal garb, or you're looking at Luthen, or you're looking at like the cultures of the different world, like the costuming on this show is like next level. It's fantastic. All right, what's next?
Let's see. We got Mitchell who says, "Hey crew, just a little thing I noticed about Andor episode 9. It has a tie-in with Rebels season 3 episode 18. It was fun to see the tie-in, and it added a great Easter egg for those who watched Rebels."
Well, I listen. I love Rebels. I don't know what happened in episode 2.
I think he's just talking about how they
episode
picked
9.
up Mon Mothma, and they mentioned like Gold Squadron.
Yeah, I mean, so like, and the new speech that they want her to make, that's a tie-in with thing. But again, I don't remember what happened in which.
It's been
you
a
can't
long
tell
time.
me the number of an episode and have me remember what it is.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Too long. All right, what's next?
Anonymous, talking about Disney live action reboots. I'd love to see Sword in the Stone and a Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Well, I mean, there's been live action Hunchback of Notre Dame, movies historically. Sword in the Stone. There's been a lot of Arthurian movies. So I don't know really, like but unless you're talking about like a direct remake of those, like live action remakes, I don't know if something like Sword in the Stone has the popularity today that would interest a lot of people. Like How to Train Your Dragon is still very popular with people. So you do a live action of that, it's going to get more attention. I don't know that Sword in the Stone or something like that would, to be honest.
They would have to change it to like iPhone in the Stone or something like that.
iPhone in the
Something that's a little bit more relevant.
Ridiculous.
iPhone in the Stone. All right, what's next?
Blake says, I don't know why everyone's so upset about Gorman. The Empire really needed that oil. I mean, Calcite. Did HBO buy Lucasfilm and not tell anyone? Where has this Star Wars been for 40 years?
I'll tell you what. I was so blown away when I saw the first episodes of Andor season 1. And I remember my first comment online and everything after seeing it was, it's as if HBO made this show. And I mean that in all the best ways possible. This feels far more like an HBO show than a Disney Plus show. And again, I'm not saying I want them to get rid of the high fun and fantasy Star Wars. Not at all. I think there's a place for both of these. But for them to make what Andor has accomplished is it makes the story of Star Wars feel like the stakes are much bigger. When we get to actually have stories told showing the impact of imperial rule over the individual cultures of the galaxy, when you see the authoritarianism, when you see the oppression, when you see even just breakdown of it politically, it makes it feel uncomfortably close to real life in some ways. But I mean, it just does that. And I think that's just going to make the more high fantasy adventure stuff feel even better. So I agree. Where has this been for the last 40 years? It's just phenomenal. All right, what's next?
We got Jake Albel with $20 tip.
Thank you, Jake.
Says, hey, John, any chance that next year we get to see you and Ray be the guest celebrities at WrestleMania? I'd love to see you guys win the tag titles in an 8-man ladder match. Maybe John V hits someone with a chair to help you guys win. I'd buy the tickets. Man, I got to work on my agility and strength if you want me in any WrestleMania.
You know, I don't know how they did it, but a couple of years ago, one of our viewers sent me this animation. And it's from one of the WWE games. You remember this?
Yeah. I think
and they literally made me coming into the ring. I don't know how they did it, but it looked phenomenal. It looked incredible.
I can't remember his name right now, but yeah. Very talented.
But this year, when I lived in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, some friends of mine had a giant trampoline in their background.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to say a wrestling ring.
No,
like
but
they were
we
backyard
had
wrestlers.
our own little wrestling federation.
Oh, okay.
And
Now we're
and like one of the I didn't have the guts to do it, but one of the guys literally would jump off the roof of the house.
Oh yeah.
And like to do a leg drop on somebody on the trampoline. It was great because on a trampoline you can do suplexes and all that kind of stuff.
Obviously, jumping off the roof is the gateway to WWE. Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have a little saying that you said before you went to the ring, like you did at the door before you?
I did not.
What was?
But
never mind.
Listen. Remember, this was like 20 years
Right,
ago.
right.
Okay?
So what was their entrance music?
It wasn't me. One of the guys in our little wrestling federation. Because remember, back in the day, WWE would play off like they'd make their bad guys, really think. So one of the guys in our little wrestling federation wanted to be he wanted to be a big heel, right?
Okay.
Wanted to be a big heel.
Let's see.
So he made himself as a big villain, a white supremacist.
Oh, Lord.
Right? And
oh, man.
and he gave himself the name Dr.
Oh, my God, please.
Like Dr. Kenneth Criken something. His nickname was Triple K.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
And his big saying when he would do his finishing move, or when he would try to do his finishing move, he would say to his opponent, "You're ill, and my prescription is a heavy dose of vitamin K." And then he would do something. Now remember, in his defense, he was trying to be a vile, awful,
he's playing a
terrible
villain.
character. But that was his thing. You need a dose of vitamin K.
There's a wrestler that I was made aware of in the indies right now. He takes after Kane, right? But his name is Cocaine.
Cocaine.
And then his finisher is the Coke Slam. It's like the Coke Slam. It's I think Ryan pointed out to me. Cocaine. So he dresses up exactly like Kane. He's this little scrawny kid, and his special move is the Coke Slam. Come on, you can do anything in wrestling. You could be anybody you want to.
All right, what's next?
All right. Tyler says, love the recent episodes of Andor. Completely forgot that wasn't the end of the show and immediately put on Rogue One. Oh, well, now I can watch it again next week. Thanks for all that you do.
Yeah, I'm very excited, actually. Like, that's the plan for me for next Tuesday. I've got my entire evening booked off. I'm watching the final 3 episodes of Andor, and then I'm popping some more popcorn. I'm sitting back and I'm watching Rogue One. I mean, the only thing that sucks is that it's coming to an end. So listen, anybody at Disney, Iger, listen up, man. Like, back whatever dump truck of gold you need to up to Tony Gilroy's house. You need him staying in the house. Because Tony Gilroy said, like, I'm done now with Star Wars. Like, once I'm done this, my Star Wars story is told and I'm done. You need to keep Tony Gilroy in the house. Do whatever you need to do. Give him whatever you need to give him. But you got to find a way to keep Tony Gilroy in the house, man, because he's just made the greatest Star Wars, other than the original trilogy, he's made the greatest Star Wars ever. You can't let this guy go. You cannot let him walk out the door. I don't care how creatively fulfilled he already now feels having done it. You need to keep him in the house. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Anonymous says, with Andor Season 2, Episode 8 premiering in the top 10 highest rated TV episodes of all time on IMDb and Episode 9 not far behind it, how do you think Andor will do at the Emmys this year against its competition, The Last of Us?
Well, I mean, we still got to see the final 3 episodes, right? And Last of Us, we just had episode 4, right? I think it's just 4 we just saw.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's really hard to say at this point. I'll say this, though. If Andor episodes 10, 11, and 12, if those are on par with this week's 3 episodes, I'll call it right now. Andor will win the Emmy for Best Drama Series. Andor's going to win Best Drama Series. I understand it might be a little too early because I don't know what else is coming out this year, and maybe I'll change my mind once I see something else that comes out later. But I will be shocked if Andor's final 3 episodes coming out next week are on the same level as these 3. It's going to win Best Series. It's going to win Best Drama. Now, again, the next round of episodes coming out of Last of Us may blow it away. I don't know, but right now I have a hard time imagining that it's not going to win Best Drama Series at the Emmys. All right, what's next?
Make Hulk Great Again says, hopefully y'all are having a great day. My question is, do you think Loki will have a big role in these next 2 Avengers films since becoming the god of stories? And if so, what can he do to help the Avengers defeat or help defeat Doom?
Well, as of right now, we have no idea what this Doom can do.
Yeah.
Right? Different iterations of Doom, both in the comics and in movies, have had him have different power sets and what he can do. So who knows? I actually don't expect Loki's going to have that big of a role. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think Tom Hiddleston's going to be just a cameo in it. But I don't see him having a big, like, I don't think he'll be the MacGuffin. Although, again, I think either him or Sentry is going to take over the role of Molecule Man, which would make him the MacGuffin. But even if he does, Molecule Man's not in a lot of the story. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a role, but not just a cameo either. So that's my guess right now. All right, what's next?
Superman says, how will splitting Warner Brothers into 2 affect DC Studios, if at all? By the way, this is just a guess, but I think we're due a Superman trailer next week, if not the week after.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think by next Thursday, I think by 1 week from today, we will have a new Superman
Yeah,
trailer.
I can't remember if it was Abdi or DeLuca, but they said in that interview, I bring you up on here. They said in that interview that
They're
Gunn
ramping up
has
the marketing
about to roll out very soon.
Yeah, I think, and James Gunn's been kind of teasing a little bit. I think within the week we're going to get it. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying I think we're going to get that within the week.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect DC Studios at all. Remember, Warner Brothers, part of Warner Brothers Studio, one of the divisions under Warner Brothers Studio is DC Studios. So that's a part of it. So wherever Warner Brothers Studios goes, that's where DC goes. So you'll just, for DC and for James Gunn, nothing will change under the way it's all being presented right now. All right, what's next?
Black Knight says, DC said The Flash was one of the best comic movies ever made. Marvel said Eternals was MCU's best movie ever made. Both you have said turned out not to be the case. Which was closer to their statement?
First of all, let's be clear. DC did not say Flash was the greatest movie they ever made. They never said that. Like, because there is no one person who is DC.
I am DC.
James, I keep having people like, I don't know what kind of Nelson Mandela effect's going on here. Like some people then said James Gunn said it was the greatest comic book movie ever. No, he did not. He said he loved it, and I loved it too. But James Gunn never said it was the greatest comic book movie ever made. David Zaslav said that.
Yeah.
David Zaslav said, I think this is the greatest comic book movie ever made. Well, okay, good. David Zaslav is not exactly a comic book movie aficionado, and whatever, but DC did not say that, and James Gunn did not say that. Again, James Gunn thought it was awesome, but he never said it was the greatest comic book movie of all time, just to be clear about that. But yeah, there was word that coming out that a number of people at Marvel thought this was that Eternals might be the best movie they ever made. And by the way, I think it's a very good movie, but it wasn't the best movie they ever made. And that's fine. But listen, who is Marvel? Who's Marvel? Like, one person says something and then everybody says, DC said this. No, one person said that, right? So it is what it is. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Black Knight says you gave Chris Pine praise for making Captain Kirk's role his own without imitating William Shatner. Do you feel any of the other cast did imitate the originals? If so, did it well or poorly? P.S. I hope we get one more movie from them.
I think every other of the cast kind of drew some imitation in the right way from the original cast members. I mean, even Carl Urban tried to draw on some DeForest Kelley for doing his Bones. Obviously, Spock had a lot of, Leonard Nimoy isms in there too. But more than any of them, if you just try to do a William Shatner, that's the one that can come across as cheesy. Chekhov being Chekhov, that just comes across normal. Bones being Bones comes across as normal. But if you try to imitate William Shatner, that has the potential to come across as cheesy in a way that none of the other characters do. And so that's why I think it was a good decision for both J.J. Abrams and for Chris Pine to say, we're going to adopt the philosophies and mindset of James T. Kirk without trying to imitate William Shatner. And that was the right decision, and I really think it worked. And that's why I think listen, the second movie, The second movie had some problems. But overall, I like that trilogy of films. I especially love the third one. I thought they did a really good job with it. All right, what's next?
Chip Crisper says, hey, John, do you think MI8 Final Reckoning could make more money if they made a marketing shift to market the film as Cruise's final MI film?
They're already doing that.
Yeah,
whether it's true or not, they're doing that. Everything in the marketing has been, trust me, one last time.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure
all the decisions you've made have led to this one moment. Like, basically, everything in their marketing has kind of been implying that this is the final Mission Impossible movie. Whether it's true or not, they really have been doing that. So they are doing it already. It's not a theoretical question. They're already kind of doing that. All right, what's next?
Wesley Cunningham says, while I won't be surprised if Blade is canceled, what is surprising is Ali Guy is a professional, meaning while he won't trust the studio, I doubt he accepts this amount of wasting his time. How long till he says, Marvel, I can't keep missing jobs for this? He's not missing anything.
He's not missing anything. He's like, he gets a job opportunity. He says, are we going to be shooting Blade in this time window? Nope. Okay. Hence, we've got him coming out in a new Jurassic World movie.
Yeah.
Right. So he's not turning anything down. I'm sure once opportunities come his way, he double checks with Marvel, says, is there any chance we're shooting Blade in this time, in this window? We can't commit to it. Okay. I'm going to go do this other job. So he's doing what he's doing. And listen, this movie does not belong to Mahershala Ali. He's an actor. And he has no reason to be upset. They want to do this. Listen, every actor has projects they think they're going to do, and then the projects don't happen. It happens, right? Nobody's doing this to jerk Mahershala Ali around. Mahershala Ali's an actor. He's paid labor. He comes in, does a job, and then he'll go. Now, I am desperate to see him do his job, but yeah, this has nothing to do with him.
Here's a question for you, like to go on top of that. Do you think, how Wesley Snipes his appearance as Blade in Deadpool and Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be better that they move further away from that before ramping up for this, or more closer because of the heat from the?
No, I think a lot of people have thought about that, but I really don't think that at all. Like, I loved Wesley Snipes' appearance as Blade in Deadpool and Wolverine. No way on earth did it ever move the needle for me thinking that he should be the one to come back and play Blade again. Never.
Oh yeah, me either.
So I really don't. If anything, I think it would have really benefited them had they been able to follow up on Deadpool and Wolverine and Wesley Snipes' appearance with solid announcements about Mahershala Ali, with the Blade character now being back in everybody's mind. So I think it's actually hurting them, putting more distance between. I think it could have helped.
Yep.
I really think it could have helped if they could have piggybacked on that. Anyway. All right, what's next?
All right, we got 4 more here. Good Luck Leaf says, easy fix for Blade, make a 4th Wesley Snipes movie that ends with him getting sent to the void for Deadpool and Wolverine. I think at this point they'd have a better chance getting that up and running. What do you think?
I don't take that. I didn't catch any of that. Sorry. Like, you got started on it. So better, easy fix for Blade, make a 4th. No, fuck no. No, but listen, guys, you can say it all you want. Nobody's going to go buy tickets to go see another Wesley Snipes Blade movie. You and your buddies might. The people you talk to in your little circles online might, but the average film goer is not going to give a shit about going to see Wesley Snipes in another Blade movie. It is not a fix. Nobody's going to go see it. It'll be totally destructive to everything they're trying to do. It would be a terrible idea. Absolutely terrible idea. Anyway. All right. What's next?
We got Sin Vendetta. Hey, John, and when I read The Cursed Child back in 2016, I didn't like it either. However, after finally watching the play last week, I can say the play is absolutely worth seeing. From one Potterhead to another, I'd recommend it.
I have no interest, and Anne has no, and I've not, like, honestly, most people I've talked to haven't liked it either. By the way, just to everybody who's still saying, no, people will go see, I'm still seeing people in live chat. No, people go see Blade. You know what? Wesley Snipes' last Blade movie, not opening weekend, worldwide total. Wesley Snipes' last Blade movie made $131 million. That's less than The Flash. That's less than Blue Beetle. Again, Wesley Snipes' last Blade movie made $131 million worldwide total. No, nobody's going to go see it. Anyway, I'm glad you like the play, but I've talked to a few people that have seen it and I've read some stuff and I've not heard good things about it either. So I don't think we're going to be putting it on our to-do list, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, what's next?
We got, let's see. Oh, was it Forbidden? Wait, so Discovery buys WB, then WB decides to sell out Discovery?
Yeah. I mean, and if that's the way it works out, that was pretty slick. If they could leverage the Discovery vein of shows to acquire control of Warner Brothers and HBO and Max, and then spin off the Discovery vein of shows, it's probably a pretty good move. Listen, by the way, I need to remind everybody that before Discovery took over Warner Brothers was on its deathbed. AT&T, for everybody who forgot, totally annihilated the Warner Brothers brand. They literally bought it and then just a couple of years later had to sell it for less than half of what they bought it for. And it was in ruins. When Discovery took over Warner Brothers was a victim on an operating table with 12 bullet wounds, and it was bleeding out. The fact that they've been able to keep Warner Brothers alive is remarkable, considering the way AT&T left it. AT&T left Warner Brothers in absolute shambles. And they may not have, Warner Brothers to this point may have not made a full resurgence and blah, blah, blah. But the very fact that Warner Brothers is even still alive is remarkable. Is absolutely remarkable. So yeah, listen, the fact of the matter is, even just a few years ago, I mean, I think everybody saw the writing on the wall that the cable television industry was in decline, right? That's why every major umbrella company is looking at divesting themselves of their cable assets. It just is what it is. So if at the end of the day, if Discovery could say they were able to leverage their cable assets to take over Warner Brothers with HBO and Max and then divest of the Discovery properties, it may end up being a pretty damn good move on their part. But again, we'll see. There's a lot of history still to be written. All right, what's next?
I think that's, let's see. Oh, hi, John and crew. Maybe I already asked, but I forgot to. So I'll ask again. What do you think that could be the 2026 MCU movie that's missing? If there'll be a movie and they don't decide to release only 2.
I have no idea. I don't even know what's coming out. Like, guys, here's a little insight. I say it all the time, so don't ask me anything about a date or a year, assuming that I know what's coming out in that year. I don't keep movie dates in my head. So I have no idea. So if you're going to write in something like that, be very specific. Because I have no idea. I can't remember off the top of my head what's coming out in 2026. I guess Doomsday is one of them, but I don't know. And I don't know that there is going to be another Marvel. So I really don't know. I just have no idea.
Yeah, I guess there's like some untitled Marvel film somewhere in between there. Maybe he was just wanting to know what could it. What?
Yeah, I simply
Well,
I
like, we'd
can't
have to
remember
look-
what else is coming out around
we'd
it.
have to look
so,
at calendars and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if anything at all. To be honest with you, I just don't know.
I
off
don't
the
even
top
know
of my
that
head.
is it like even confirmed there is a mystery movie in between? Like, I don't even know.
There was a date they had a flag
Yeah.
planted in, but I don't know that they're planning on keeping that date. I mean, at
It's
this
gonna be
point, I
Blade.
doubt that they are.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be Blade. Mark it down.
Yeah, it's gonna be Blade. All right, what do we got up next?
We
Do
got-
we have some from our channel members?
Yeah, Joe Howland.
Excellent.
Joe Howland says, "Hey, John and crew." Jay's going.
Only ask one from Joel, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's a lot there. I just saw the Asian version of Star Blazing. It was pretty amazing, impressive on the visuals of the ship and the wave motion gun and action. Truly awesome.
Yeah, by the way, it's called Star Blazers, also known as Space Battleship Yamato.
Yeah.
The visuals were pretty good. It wasn't a very good movie, to be honest with you. I would really love for them to take a North American, for a North American studio to take a swing at it. But the visuals, yeah, they did look good. It was really kind of cool seeing this animation that I loved as a kid really brought to life that way. All right, what's next?
We got Clayton, who says, "What's up, John and crew? I don't know if you've ever spoke on it or not, but I was wondering what you thought the best case scenario for Star Wars theatrical releases should be: new trilogy releases or exploring more of the universe through other stories."
Both of those can both be the same thing. A new trilogy can be new stories and new, like it can be that. Look, there is no formula that's going to save Star Wars. It's a simple thing, but it's an impossible thing. Just make good movies. It doesn't matter if your movie is set in the Old Republic. It doesn't matter if your story is set 100 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker. It doesn't matter if you tell yet another movie set in the era of the Empire. If you make a great movie, then it's a great movie, whether it's in the Old Republic era, a Future Republic era, or the Imperial era. Doesn't matter. You just got to make great movies. And if they can make a new Rogue One, if they could do something like that, then they'll be in a much better place. Other than that, whether it's a trilogy, standalones, none of it matters. None of it matters. You can make a mediocre trilogy or make a mediocre standalone movie. You're going to get the same results. They just need to make really good movies. And if you make a Star Wars movie that's really good, it won't matter what era it's in. Won't matter if it's a part of a trilogy or a standalone. It won't matter if it's about Jedis or bounty hunters. It won't matter. Just make a great movie. Because if you make a bad one, it also doesn't matter. A bad movie's still a bad movie. All right, what's next?
We got wrong one. Sadul says, more likely sequel to make more in the US, Wicked 2 or Zootopia 2?
Zootopia 2. Zootopia has already proven itself to be $1 billion franchise. Wicked is not. Wicked's going to make a lot of money and could very well make $1 billion. Or Wicked 2, I should say. Very well could. But I'd say, considering that the first one out already joined the $1 billion club, I think the answer to that is Zootopia 2.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Dominic says, if you became the new head of Lucasfilm, would you prioritize proper episodes or that was the same one we asked. It's just in different wording.
No. Go ahead and ask it.
Well, episodes 10, 11, 12, or proceed with more one-off films?
I mean, again, the only thing that really matters is making good movies. What I would do if I were in the chair was I would be attempting to make good movies in the form of a trilogy. It's simply because that's Star Wars's thing. Again, that doesn't increase your chances that it'll be good or not. But what I myself would do would move forward in time, maybe about 20 or 30 years, get a whole new group of characters and tell the next trilogy chapter of the Star Wars story. That's what I would do. But again, all that really matters is whether it's good or not. So if Jonathan took over the Lucasfilm head chair and decided to do individual films, that's fine too, as long as the movies are good. It's just, for me personally, either or, all the things being equal, I would go with the trilogy.
Except if we were doing a trilogy, the one thing we would do is actually have a plan for all 3 movies.
Yes! Imagine that. Kel Supri. All right, what's next?
We got King Daddy says, what happened to the rated R Ronin TMNT project that was announced over a year ago? What's the chances we still get this? Hopefully. Or no, I'm not very hopeful.
I've been told with some authority that movie is still happening. That's all I can say. I'll just leave it at that. But still count on that movie being made. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Big 8 says, how big of a drop do you think Thunderbolts will have in its second week?
I'm going to say 52%, which would be
really great.
That would be a great second weekend drop. Anywhere you want to be, anywhere between 50 and 60. Less than 50 is amazing. More than 60 is a little concerning. I'm going to say 52%, hopefully less.
Yeah, that's really good.
All right, last question of the day.
Okay, Zach, if Avengers Doomsday is a big flop, do you think Kevin Feige would consider finding new directors for Secret Wars? Are they filming?
Look, number one, it's preposterous. It doesn't matter how bad Doomsday is, it's going to make a ton of money. Doesn't matter how bad it is. There is no scenario that Doomsday doesn't make a ton of money. It's going to make a ton of money, period. But let's play the theoretical game and say in some weird alternate universe, Avengers Doomsday makes $300 million. Okay. Well then, what's your record? With the Russo brothers, you've had arguably the 4 most celebrated films you've ever made. And you have amongst the highest grossing films of all time with the Russo brothers. They would literally be 4-1. They'd be 4 out of 5 if Doomsday flopped. Civil War was a tremendous success. Winter Soldier's a tremendous success. Infinity War's a tremendous success. Endgame's a tremendous success. The question is basically this. If Michael Jordan misses his 3-point shot, do you bench him the next game? Obviously not. Okay, so he's not going to hit. Michael Jordan didn't. Guess what? Michael Jordan missed more game-winning or game-tying shots than he hit. Most players have. If he misses one, you don't go, oh no, let's bench Michael Jordan. The reality is the Russo brothers with Marvel have knocked them out of the park 4 for 4. So what are you going to do? You're going to go with somebody who doesn't have a hit with Marvel to replace somebody who's 4 out of 5? Are you going to find somebody who's made 1 good movie with Marvel as opposed to the guys who made 4 of your all-time best?
Didn't help with Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, so even in the impossible scenario that Doomsday flops, which it is not, it's a totally preposterous scenario. But even if it did, well, now your guys are, instead of 4 for 4, they're 4 for 5. You stick with those guys. You 100% stick with those guys. And yeah, Kevin Feige, because listen, they've already got Secret Wars planned out. It's already planned out. It's already charted out. It's already scripted. So you're not going to suddenly change plans just because 1 out of 5 didn't get knocked out of the park, right? You stick with that. Now, if the Russo brothers, let's say Civil War and Infinity War were big flops, and Winter Soldier and Endgame were big hits. If they were batting 500 and then they do Doomsday and it sucks, you still probably stay the course, but maybe you think, but again, this is the Russo brothers. They're 4 for 4. 4 of the most celebrated, most successful, most lauded Marvel films of all time. And if they do one that doesn't work out, you jump ship? Again, that's paramount to benching Michael Jordan because he misses 1 3-point shot. I just, no, you don't change directions at all. Not at all. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to everybody who sent in questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun and interesting things to talk about. And number 2, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank Robert Meyer Burnett for being here. By the way, Robert's going to be making a rare Friday appearance on the show tomorrow, so we'll look forward to that. I want to thank Ray Ora.
All right, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, Sal Saperstein.